What are you doing here, bud?
Well, if you guys watched the last video, we got some sick new wheels. Say Roku wheels. That gray center with the polished lip looks dope. But we got an even doper problem. I looked in the bottom of the transmission and that nice little window that we cut last time. And the throwout bearing is taking a poop. So I guess the idea is to drop everything from the bottom because it's going to be a little bit easier than having to take everything apart and pull it up from the top. So I'm going to start ripping everything apart so that we can lower it down, front subframe and all. Take the transmission apart, put the new throwout bearing, which we have over here, put this in, and hopefully it'll fix our problem so we can get the Klutch Kickers Round 3 in 2 days.
Oh, we're gonna make it, bud.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Right now, it's 9:45.
On Wednesday?
On Wednesday.
Okay. We got a couple days.
6:30 on Friday morning.
I feel like your face isn't gonna look the same Friday morning.
If we don't get it done today or tomorrow, maybe I can borrow an enclosed and then on the way down you can just...
We'll just work on it in the trailer as we go. It'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any citations that can be given out for that.
So a huge shout out to Fastech for allowing us to bring this thing in last minute and allow us to gave us a workspace here and also some help later.
Looks like your helper just got here, bud.
Yeah, is that Daniel?
Daniela!
So it's gonna be a fun-filled day.
Absolutely.
So we started this project at 9:45. It is now 11:43, and she's separated. What we're having to do now is take out all of these little Allen bolts to separate the transmission from the engine, and then we'll be able to see the damage inside. Hopefully just the throwout bearing. But got some lovely help from Daniel here. We're gonna get it separated, and then we'll show you what's inside. So, got it separated. Here is what's left of the throwout bearing. This is what it's supposed to look like. Shards all inside there. I'd say some of it dropped out of the hole we have there. I just hope that we haven't ruined. You can see that there's pieces down in here. A piece that I just pulled out from inside the disc. Hopefully there's not a whole lot left in there, but I need your opinion.
Uh-oh.
I think it had one more run on it.
Oh, yeah, this all looks fine.
I'd say the gravel I heard was all the shards hitting,
absolutely,
going down through there. You think we should take that pressure plate off and make sure there's no more shards in there?
Yeah, I'd say you got a bigger problem. What's that do?
I have no idea. Oh, that's part of this.
Okay, good. That's not a problem. Is that supposed to have a hole in it?
I don't know. A hole? Oh, a gouge.
It's got one over here too. We had to polish this up really good. Really good. Look at that.
Yeah. I'm just glad we didn't send it to the track like this.
There should be an input shaft seal back here, but this housing will come off. Take those bolts out, we can take this off and polish it up. See how it feels with the bearing on here? Slide it around. If it feels like crap, we might be able to weld this up, take it down to the machine shop and put it on the lathe and true this up really nice.
So one thing we are going to have to do before we put anything back together. So this has got some marks on it that probably won't be too healthy for the new throwout bearing.
I don't know if we can call that a mark or a gouge.
Yeah,
Let's
like
go with
gouge. I don't know if if you guys can see it. You piece of crap camera. There's gouge 1. Flip her over. And there's a bigger one. So, you think you're gonna be able to fix it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna put some aluminum filler in here, both sides. Try to just kind of knock it down a little bit with a file. And then we're gonna go to our local machine shop, put it in the lathe, and just true it out all the way front to back. So it's nice and slippery.
Slippery?
You can actually see here where the bearing had come apart and travel and was just spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Now the plastic was down here. So when it exploded, the bearing was just riding on this. I think that's where the fork sets was about like that. So it was pivoting on this thing, which is what caused that damage.
Because it's about 180 from each other.
Exactly. So we should be able to repair this and get it back in. If not, we'll call around locally and see if we can find one. We've already called 2 people who couldn't find one, so we're gonna fix it.
Eat.
You want to put it up against the wall? Doesn't make any sense.
So after struggling to get the transmission put back on the engine with that new throwout bearing, we ran into the same issue that we had when we were originally building the car. It was basically engaging the clutch, causing it not to really. It was like the clutch was being pushed in, so we've got to pull it back apart. You want to explain what you're doing?
I gotta get parts. I like show and tell.
Okay. So you want to explain what our issue is and how we can fix it?
Sure. So just to keep everybody interested, we're gonna do a full breakdown on, I wouldn't say the faults that we found with this kit, but just some of the stuff that the general everyday person may run into. But for sake of shortness of this video, what we have run into is a spacing issue between the pilot bearing and the pressure plate fingers. So what Tyler had originally done was got a bell housing or a flex plate from O'Reilly's that has this 1/4 inch spacer. It bolts directly to the engine. Well, doesn't directly bolt, but this would go on. Okay. And then the flywheel, which is a adapter to go from an LS to looks like a 7.5 inch disc for the BMW ZF trans. So you run a stock OEM flex plate, you bolt this adapter on, I can get it right here. The bolts go all the way through everything, you torque them down, and then you install the clutch kit like normal. You get a metal throwout bearing holder, and it indexes into the fork, which is now how everything operates, right? So the problem that we had was, with all of this stuff in the correct orientation, so we believed, we'd have a 1/4 inch gap between the adapter plate and the adapter plate. So there was no binding, there was no real issue. Essentially what we found out was happening is, once we slid this up so far, we used 3 bolts to just gently pull the trans together, thinking that it was just in a bind on the dowel pins. What was actually happening is we were depressing the pressure plate. So what would happen is you could spin the crankshaft with the transmission in gear, and the output was in neutral, essentially, because we were physically pushing the clutch in at all times. So what we feel happened was, this flex plate has a 1/4 inch adapter that was pressed onto the flex plate for proper spacing of the starter. So with this added 1/4 inch, this added 1/4 inch was depressing the clutch all the time when the bell housing was tight. So if you take this adapter out and just try to use the flex plate on the crank, it engages in the starter all the time, either direction. So it's indexed engine side. We had it on backwards just then for testing. Even on engine side, it's engaged in the starter all the time. So you have to run this spacer to not be engaged in the starter. So we're gonna do some custom machining on this hub to give us this 1/4 inch back in spacing to make the throwout bearing not depressed on the pressure plate all the time.
How are we gonna do this?
We're gonna use Haas VF4S in this case. We're gonna clamp this in the vise. We're gonna write a quick program just to mill this down to be able to push this bearing back on this hub a 1/4 inch lower. I don't know that this is exact 1/4 inch, just for relevancy. I mean,
It's pretty close.
it's pretty close, right? So we noticed on disassembly that when we got the bolt a little bit over half of the way out, we could wiggle our clutch fork. So I think it's gonna be close enough. If not, we'll cut, you know, a couple of thou off of this hub here to put back on the flex plate and achieve what we're after.
This is the big machine. Buttons, buttons, buttons. Still looks brand new.
It is. All right. What you doing, bud?
Taking the diff out?
Fighting some axles?
No, actually we're done.
Bless me. So what we have achieved today from our saga of yesterday, thankfully the trans is back in after 15 or 20 test fits and a couple of trips to the machine shop, some trips of our own machine shop. We are successfully back in T-minus, what, 26 hours of practice?
Yeah. Well, no. Less.
Less than that?
We are 20 hours worth of practice.
20 hours. So we'll even get to sleep tonight, I think. It's gonna be cool. We're really just into the button up stage. I was able to get the motor, the trans, pretty much everything in a little bit earlier today while Tyler was getting some tires put on his truck. We are gonna go ahead and pull the rear diff and do a gear change. Essentially, this is a 391 and we're going to a 315, so pretty big change. You've used them both, yeah? So we know they work. Just really looking for more wheel speed with our freshly acquired feels.
Good angle of them.
Oh, oh. We're gonna put this girl to use this weekend, boys. We're gonna do the thing.
Gonna do the thing.
Gonna do the thing. So it's kind of a quick update. I'm sure in about 2 hours I won't be as enthusiastic because my hands will be dragging on the ground from just being exhausted, but I figured while I had some enthusiasm I'd try and catch you guys up what was going on, what we were doing, why we're posting on Klutch Kickers that the engine is still out and less than 15 hours of leaving. It's been a roller coaster, but I think we're on the uphill of it now. Pretty excited. You excited?
Yeah.
Ready to get on the road?
Yeah.
Hey, you still got one more surprise.
What?
You got any guesses?
From last night? Is that what you're surprised
You
with?
still have a surprise. You just don't know it yet.
What? I don't know.
All right.
You gotta tell me.
I don't have to tell you.
Well, when am I gonna know?
I don't know.
When we get to the track or like?
Nah,
when
it'd be
the car's
before
on the
then. It'd be before then.
ground? Are we getting tuned on E90?
I hadn't thought about that, but it's a pretty good
Okay.
idea.
I don't know.
If you hurry up, we might. All
I don't know
right.
if I can afford it.
Stay
after
tuned.
Tires.
Got a surprise coming. It's gonna be awesome. Brother. Brother.
What a crazy week.
How are we doing, bud? We are, yes. We are getting pretty close. I think we have maybe 20 minutes worth of work left. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Put the intake on, a couple butt connectors. I don't know, we might put these sick, nasty wheels back on. Put water in, put engine oil in. Trans is already full.
Exhaust.
Yep, I'm exhausted, I got you.
Is that tight? Header tight?
Yep.
Sweet.
It's about this time, boys. Yeah, buddy.
So yeah, I haven't really been vlogging much. I've been trying to get as much done as I can possibly help with, because I know he's been slaving away all day trying to get this thing ready while I've been at work. So we are probably about 10-15 minutes away from startup. It is currently 10:30 at night, and we have to leave at 6 in the morning, 6:30. So really all we have to do left is put water in it, put the intake back on, finish putting the exhaust on, put the wheels back on, and test rip. I don't know, it's a little late for a test rip. I meant people trying to sleep. What's that, right?
Full county. Nobody sleeps here.
So it is now 10:53, and we're about to do its first startup. It's gonna be very loud. It's probably gonna scare me. Always.
I know what that is.
What?
It's the starter hitting that ring. I was hoping it would just quit.
What do we do?
I want to make sure the clutch works. And then we'll probably pull the starter out. And do something custom.
Shave down a little bit of the teeth or something? So I think we figured out what the pinging noise was, the constant pinging. I'll let you explain.
So with the tolerances we've been trying to achieve to get this clutch to function right, the spacer that was on the flex plate was cut down like 0.195 inches. So in that tolerance, I had measured in a distance between the starter Bendix gears and the flex plate. So you can see the teeth actually here. I have some chatter marks on them. The tolerances are just so tight that the variation of flex in the flex plate was dancing over and hitting the starter Bendix and gears. So we actually took a pry bar and kind of straightened out the gear itself on the flex plate just to kind of true it up. And we're gonna try it again. Ready?
Yeah. It went away. Maybe higher RPM. Yeah, higher RPM it does it.
Okay.
Attempt number 3.
Yes, sir. Third time's a charm, baby.
Attempt 3. bikes at that RPM.
Attempt number 4.
Redneckery just got serious. This one better work. If that thing's hardened, it ought to wear that. Well, it's not doing anything. It's just rolling it now. Don't put a dent in my door. Taylor Ray already did that.
Dang it!
Well, you guys, it is 1:17 in the morning here, Fastech. Got the truck and the trailer is all loaded up. Got the car in the trailer. She's running. Clutch feels amazing. Feels better than it actually ever has. And y'all, we're ready to head to Klutch Kickers and lay down some solid runs this weekend. So hopefully you guys are as excited as we are. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. So I'm about to go up, but long story short, our transmission is toast in the E36. We broke third gear. Instead of making a mess on the track and possibly destroying the rest of the car, we're gonna start driving this. Belongs to Connor O'Sully, who is over there, and they're kind enough to let me drive it, and we're gonna see how it goes. We got a couple of wet practice laps in it, and about to go out for qualifying. So our first qualifying run, see how we do, and then go from there. So stay tuned.